Hello everybody and welcome to my 114th VBA tutorial. And this tutorial is going to show you how you can create a SQL file from your Excel sheet using your VBA. So very similar to the HTML one, it's just we want to put it into SQL format. So first thing we want to do is change our file path to MySQL and then do it as a .sql file. And the advantage of this is you can just then take your SQL and you can put it into your database, or just import it into your database and run it. Sometimes if you haven't got the ability to connect to your database directly through Excel, then this can be quite a quick way to just add extra data in. And then so in here we just want to set up our SQL string. So we want to do my dim SQL string as string, and we want to make SQL string equals insert into, and then we want to put in our table name. So my table name is just going to be called my table. Insert into my table, open bracket, and then we want to put in our fields. So let's close that off, and we're going to do until we want to have a column counter. So dim c col count as integer, col count equals 1, then do until this, let's do a with here. So with this workbook dot sheets sheet 1 dot cells, we don't want to do dot cells because we're just doing our with at the moment, end with, and then we want to do until dot cells col count, and we want to put in our row first. So 1 comma col count dot value equals nothing. Then we want to loop, and we want to do col count equals col count plus 1. And for each one of these, we just want to put in our field name. So this is our name at the top that I've got on here. So you need to make sure these field names here match the names of the field in your database. So let's go SQL string equals SQL string and apostrophe and dot cells 1 comma col count dot value, and then that will go through and it will add all your fields in. At the end we want to put in and apostrophe, and we want to separate them by a comma, but we don't want to put a comma on the last one, so let's remove that comma afterwards. So let's say SQL string equals left SQL string comma length SQL string -1, and that will just get rid of the last comma for us. So that's going to put in our field. If we just play that and message box out the SQL string, you'll see what it looks like. So let's press play, and I haven't renamed my sub, so create SQL file, play. So insert into table my name and then age. So we actually want to do ampersand here, and we want to do a closing bracket for our fields, and then we want to do values, open bracket, and then apostrophe, and let's keep that message box. Actually no, let's get rid of the message box. We then want to loop through the columns again, and each time we want to loop through the rows actually. So let's dim ourselves a row counter. So dim our count as integer, our count equals 1. And then we want to do until our count 1 dot value equals nothing. So loop down all of the rows, and let's get rid of that. And we want to reset our column count to 1 because we want it to loop through the columns as well, equals 1. So we want to do our count equals our count plus 1, and then each row we loop through, we want to go through the columns as well. So let's just paste this in and just loop through the columns and press loop here. And then so this is going to loop through all the rows, all the columns, and each time we get to the end of a column, we're just going to want to do SQL string equals, and let's set that one a bit later, so let's do it in here first. So SQL string equals SQL string, and we'll want to do comma apostrophe, and then end one, and then our field name, so dot cells our count comma col count dot value ampersand underscore, so we can go on to the next line, and then we want to do an apostrophe just to close it off. I'm actually going to do the comma at the end, not at the start. Let's do a comma. And so that's going to keep adding in our fields. We're actually going to want to do something to test what type of input they are. So if we want to take this is numeric, we want to put that at the start, is numeric, then else if is date, then else end if. So all this is doing is testing what type of input it is, whether it's a number, whether it's a date, or whether it's anything else. So if it's anything else, we want to be putting in our apostrophes. If it's a date, then we want to copy this, and we want to be changing these apostrophes for hashtags, because that's how we put in our dates. And if it's a number, then we don't want anything in there, because you just put it in as a number. So that's going to create them, and then we want to go back to our end of the column, where we want to get rid of the final apostrophe again. So let's do our left SQL string, length of SQL string -1, and we want to do a closing one, and then a comma, ready for our next column. And then finally at the end, after it's done all the looping through, we're going to have one square comma, so we're going to want to get rid of that. So I'm just going to go and press play on this and then show you the string that gets created. So if we go to our desktop and we open up my SQL, so let's open it in Notepad++, and you're going to see it's got nothing in it because I haven't actually told it to fill it with anything yet, so let's just delete that. And then we want to do we want to come out of our end with and do dot right line SQL string. And let's actually change that to -2, and at the end of here I'm going to add a space, so it's just going to put things on new lines, and then let's also put our values on new lines as well. Just to make it a bit tidier. And so it's got our right line, and let's press play on this, and let's open up our file. You'll see it's got insert into my table values, and then it's not actually looping through properly, and that'll be because I'm not resetting my column counter at the start of each row. So let's go column count equals 1, and we don't need it there. And then let's delete our old one, and then press play, and look at our new one, and you'll see now that it's pasting them in. It's not doing my open brackets at the start, so let's put them in as well. And so let's go ampersand open bracket, and then down here let's do -3, and delete our old one, press play, reload it, and there you'll see you've got a perfectly valid SQL string in order to enter into your database. So you just copy that and put it in your database, and it would insert it all in for you. And quite a lengthy tutorial there, so apologies if you started falling asleep. If you've got any questions, let me know. It can be really, really useful, so I suggest you either download this example and keep the code somewhere, just in case you ever want to paste data into a table quickly from stuff you've got in Excel. So that's going to be it for this tutorial. Thanks for listening, and I hope to catch you in the next tutorial.